Hello community, my name's Paul Mills from Raptoreum Core, and here we have Hunter Schultz, who is the head of production for Raptoreum. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and today we are talking about how Raptoreum could transform the music creation industry and also solve some issues with IP. Is that right, Hunter?
That's exactly right. And it stems from a blog post that we just published a few days ago about the music industry in general. And as I started to focus in on this, I could see something a lot bigger. And I recall the story, God, it was almost 20 years ago now. And it was about The Lion King, the movie. And it was about the song The Lion Sleeps Tonight, which was written originally in 1939 by a Zulu migrant worker in Johannesburg, South Africa. He recorded it and he sung it with a group, I don't remember the name of the group, back in 1939. And somehow, some way, it wound up in this major Disney film, and one of the daughters heard it and went, wait a minute, that's my dad's song. And the lawsuits started flying, and the fellow's name was Solomon Linda. And he died in 1962 with about $25 in his pocket. And his daughters were living in poverty in a suburb of Johannesburg when they finally settled this back in 2006 for a significant amount of money, including future worldwide royalties.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to say justice was served, but certainly his creativity and his talent was redeemed with this settlement. And it got me to thinking how many more, Solomon Lindas are out there, and how, had Raptoreum been around back then, what a big game changer that would have been for him. So
I think one important thing to note is around that time, what did you say it was, 1930?
1939.
The world was a different place. People used to treat different people in a different way. So they probably just thought nothing of it. They thought, oh, that was a great tune, yeah. And just thought, yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah.
And assume there would be no repercussions.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. And plus there was a world war breaking out. So,
yeah, exactly.
it was a different time indeed.
That doesn't help the situation.
No, that did not help it. But still, the fact that he had recorded it probably helped win that settlement.
Absolutely, because I assume there'll be a date on that recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, on the record itself. Plus, apparently it was going to go to court in South Africa 2 weeks after. 2 weeks. It was settled 2 weeks before it was going to go to court in South Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that writing was on the wall there. The lion was not sleeping anymore. Maybe a little bit about how Raptoreum is set to literally change the industry, because it is the only game. It's the only game in town to do the full job, from creator to record label to managing music to managing artists. There's so much it can do, and do it in a way that brings transparency and immutability. And I know you've been a musician / vocalist for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of hits home for you. My wife's a vocalist here in Panama, so has an album and a music video. So that was something she mentioned to me. There's a lot of talented people here who've won. One young woman, she won the Latin version of American Idol, the Latin American Idol.
Okay.
And Margarita was her name, if I recall right. And I said, well, she's going to do well. And my wife's like, no, probably not. The royalties here, keeping track of everything, and cross-border royalty payments, Raptoreum helps with that. So they're really disenfranchised, literally, from the royalties they should be earning. And this is such a huge game changer. And we'll end with that, but let's kind of delve into the mechanical side a little bit.
Okay.
Of what this means.
One thing that I've discovered when I create music, I mean, sometimes I create it live, sometimes I create it using like a beat sequencing software or something like that. But the live stuff that I've noticed when I finish my track and I I've laid down the vocals and the guitar and things like that, and I save it as the MP3. I can edit the metadata there and then to suggest what it should be called or when it was made. There's a lot of different parts of the metadata that you can change. But once that song is then finished and saved as the MP3 or the WAV file, that metadata can then be changed once again by external software. So if I was to save it and then I was to lose that song and then it was to get into someone else's hands, they could in effect change the metadata to a date before when it was made and change the name of it and then claim it as their own, which obviously is an issue, because then I would not be able to prove anything, especially if I lost the original the original compilation file of creating that song. So they would win in a court of law. But what we could do is use a Raptoreum asset, which is where the metadata can be written, so an NFT which you cannot change. So we could create it, write the metadata, the date and everything that it was created, and obviously the metadata would also be on the chain of when the asset was created, just to double the evidence of that date up. And then I could attach the files that I used for creating that song there and then if anyone was to steal that or copy that asset there and then proves that I was the one that created it, because I am the owner of the asset, and also along with the compilation file for that song. And also if I wanted to do that, but I wanted to do it in a way that wasn't public. So bear in mind, blockchains are public ledgers except for the private ones, but Raptoreum is basically a public ledger, and if I want to make sure that no one can actually gain access to those files that are connected to that NFT that would create after I made the song, then I could actually encrypt the files on there. And there's a couple of ways I can encrypt them. I can encrypt directly the files, or I can import them into another file such as a PDF, and I can encrypt the PDF in varying layers with the files inside it. So if I ever need to go into a court of law and prove myself, then I could pop the passwords in for the different layer of the PDFs, and then the files that prove the ownership are there for the judge to see.
Key point though is PDF files are admissible in courts, what courts like to see.
And that's just the initial creation aspect. Another thing that I'm seeing an issue with is, bearing in mind, there's a lot of people that create music these days and upload directly to Spotify, YouTube, and other sites that allow you to do so. And the reason why they're doing this is rather than going through a record company, people want to have the control. So they are uploading them and directly earning from the views and things like that. I suppose one of the issues with doing that is they're in charge of their own marketing and everything else that comes along with it. So unless they get that sort of audience underneath them, then they wouldn't be able to push out as successfully as going through a record label. One of the other issues that I've seen is when people, this is still on YouTube, sorry, when people are creating songs and uploading them to YouTube, they are taking beats from other areas of the internet, thinking that they are royalty free. But as me and Hunter have previously discovered with music, there's different types of royalty free music. There's like royalty free but personal use. There's royalty free on like one platform, or there's royalty free that covers everything, and that requires a license to have. So the people that sell the beats, and they could actually issue the beats or the licenses on a Raptoreum asset, and then send that asset directly to their customer that has purchased the beat, and they could have like 3 different assets: personal license, one platform license, or an overall license. And that would also solve the issue of discrepancies of when the people are outputting songs or uploading songs to these platforms, because they can show the assets all grouped together for all the different parts of their song to show what sort of ownership they have, and that would also solve IP issues. This is obviously for people that that don't make their own beats, and bearing in mind there's a lot of people that don't make their own beats. They buy a beat and they'll probably rap over it or sing over it or something like that. But for the people that do make their own beats, they could use the same sort of system as what I was mentioning at the start, where they could actually produce their own asset there and then to prove that they made it at that date.
There are a lot of people who upload, I mean, they strum a guitar, they create a song, they upload it to YouTube on their channel and hope that it, goes somewhere. They really ought to, and they're not really doing the full job of protecting their IP. And that is what I see for the future, that it's it's ultimately so easy to protect your intellectual property using Raptoreum and knowing it's immutable. And the key factor there is that immutability factor is because that asset is recorded on the blockchain itself, not a smart contract, which we have discussed in previous.
Well, it's full decentralized ownership. You don't need a smart contract for the stuff we've just spoken about. Right. It's all protocol level, backed by the encryption of the blockchain, which is the strongest encryption. And for these companies that are using smart contracts and EVM chains to solve this issue, it's not going to be too long when you're going to be running into issues, as we've talked about on other videos about this. So this is why Raptoreum is a good solution, a good way to trust that your data and your licenses that you're giving to people are not going to be tampered with further on down the line and harm your brand.
Yeah. The other thing I think it's going to do is prevent a lot of lawsuits that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Good lawyers would say, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And if I have something that's on a blockchain and I'm just going to say, look, you're using it, it's on the blockchain, here it is, it's recorded here, it's provable in court. If I'm going to consult if I'm on the opposing party and I'm talking to my attorney's going to tell me, well, you're SOL, dude. You're going to have to settle, because they can prove ownership on a blockchain, and the best blockchain for doing it, because it's the only game in town, essentially. It's certainly the only game in town with everything that's coming. So this is, if you're gonna grow with any blockchain in the music industry, there's really only one choice you have for the full package. And we haven't even gotten into what Apache Spark is going to bring, and some of the technical side, which you don't want to delve into, because that's that the audience will just go bye. But it is truly a remarkable possibility, and I guess the best way of maybe ending this is to talk a little bit about those little guys out there, the future Solomon Lindas, that someday will have a gift to maybe their kids. Their song is used in a major production somewhere, and there's no lawsuit. It's, here it is, pay me now. There you go.
As you can see, there's plenty of work to be done in the music industry, whether you're a creator, whether you're a record label. And because there are so many issues at the moment, you see different parts of the industry moving further apart when over 20 years ago it was a lot more centralized. And this is because of people not trusting the process. So when we are now in a position where the process can be reinvented, where everyone can trust the process, I think that's definitely the way forward we need to go. So if you are a record label, or you are a creator, or you just simply make beats and sell them or whatever, get in touch with us and we will work with you and help you set something up that could actually solve some issues for you. You can email us at info@raptoreum.com and we'll respond to you. Or you could directly message us on Telegram. That's at binary1. Hunter, one thing that we haven't done while we have been doing this video is the Hunter rendition of the song that we're talking about. Are you going to do it?
No, I do not have a singing voice. Crypto Smith said I could probably sell aphrodisiacs with my voice, but I can't sing.
Okay, it doesn't look like we're getting it, guys. All right.
No, we're not going to get it.
So that's it from me, Hunter. Have you got anything else to say?
Yeah, I do, actually, surprisingly enough. I have, there's a blog post that we just published a few days ago on the music industry itself and kind of a broader overview. We have another blog post coming, if it's not out already when this airs, on The Lion King, this song, and how things could have been a lot different. And then the other thing we're coming out with is how Raptoreum can help with concert and ticket sales. And that'll probably be, that might be a show we can do next week. This is just one example that we've taken a deep dive into. And I think it's pretty exciting what the future holds for a whole lot of people. And there you are, Paul.
And there we are. If you're not already following us at X, please do that. That's at Raptoreum. We are also on Threads and Instagram with the same username. You can check us out on TikTok as well. That's at official Raptoreum. Please give this video a like at the bottom and subscribe to our channel to be kept up to date with any more of these Raptor chain reaction videos, or Raptoreum guides, or weekly updates, or Crypto Smith videos, or anything else like that. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm and we'd really appreciate it. We will be back here next week for another Raptor chain reaction video. So please make sure you keep an eye on our videos tab for that. And yeah, I guess we'll see you later.
Thanks.
See you later, guys.